Good afternoon. President Bongbong Marcos says everything is on the table regarding the fate of drug convict Mary Jane Veloso once she returns to the Philippines from Indonesia. In an ambush interview on Thursday, November 21, Marcos was asked whether Veloso would be given clemency after the Philippine and Indonesian governments agreed for her transfer back to the Philippines. Clemency is the act of granting mercy to a convicted individual, typically given by an executive authority.
We will see. We will see. Hindi pa maliwanag kung ano ba talaga how this is the first time this has happened. So that everything is on the table.
According to Marcos, the death sentence of Veloso was commuted to life imprisonment during the term of Indonesian President Joko Widodo. Marcos says the effort to have Veloso returned to the Philippines was lengthy.
Naku, matagal na trabaho yan. That took a long time. Since I came into office, what we were working on was tanggalin na siya sa death row. Unang-una, to commute her sentence to life. Nung nangyari yun, when we were able to achieve that, we continued to work with them. It was still with the Widodo government at the time.
It is unclear when exactly Veloso's death sentence was finally commuted to life incarceration. According to the Legal Information Institute, commuting a sentence means substituting a sentence imposed by the judiciary for a lesser sentence. Veloso was arrested in 2010 after Indonesian authorities found 2.6 kilograms of heroin in her luggage and was later sentenced to death. Veloso maintained she was unaware of the contents of her luggage, which was given to her by her recruiters Julius Lacanilao and Maria Cristina Serio. The Filipinas' execution was delayed after new evidence emerged that she was also victimized by a drug trafficking syndicate. Vice President Sara Duterte is refusing to comment on the existence of a certain Mary Grace Piattos, an alleged recipient of a part of the confidential funds her office spent in just 11 days in December 2022. In a press conference on Wednesday, November 20, Duterte says she has not seen the acknowledgement receipts containing the name Mary Grace Piattos, which were tackled by the House Committee on Good Government and Public Accountability in its probe. According to Duterte, the documents the House were citing did not go through her, adding that it was instead directly submitted to the Office of the Vice President's Special Disbursement Officer, Gina Acosta, and then to the Inspection and Control of Fund Audit Unit of the Commission on Audit.
I have no comment on that, because I've not seen the acknowledgement receipt na kanilang sinasabi, because basically lahat ng mga documents hindi siya dumadaan sa akin, dumidiretso siya sa SDO and sinasubmit siya sa INQFAO, yung office ng COA.
Duterte says she will not comment on the issue as she is unaware of how the copies of the acknowledgement receipts were processed.
So hindi ako makakomment, lalong-lalo na hindi namin alam kung paano pinroseso ang pagbigay ng copies ng ARs or ng submissions namin sa COA to the House of Representatives, and sino ang nag-handle noong mga documents.
Lawmakers earlier placed a 1 million peso cash reward for anyone who could identify Mary Grace Piattos. During the House panel's hearing on November 5, Antipolo 2nd District Representative Romeo Aco pointed out to the COA that several of the acknowledgement receipts were signed by a certain Mary Grace Piattos. The lawmaker expressed doubts if Mary Grace Piattos is a legitimate identity, as the signatory's first name is similar to a coffee shop, while her last name is a famous potato chip brand. The House panel is investigating the budget utilization of the OVP and the Department of Education under Duterte amid allegations of fund misuse and supposed irregularities in confidential fund expenses. A House panel cites Office of the Vice President Chief of Staff Undersecretary Zuleika Lopez for contempt as lawmakers found her committing undue interference in the panel's hearings. During the House Committee on Good Government and Public Accountability hearing on Wednesday, November 20, ACT Teachers Party List Representative Franz Castro moves to cite Lopez for contempt. Castro cites the OVP official's letter to the Commission on Audit, asking that the agency refrain from giving the House the audit observations on OVP's confidential fund expenses. Castro believes that Lopez and the OVP were ordering COA, which would prevent the House from scrutinizing the office's transactions.
Nakalagay dito, no, we are of the position that the subject subpoena should not be complied with. Parang siga-siga ba yung Office of the Vice President na utusan yung OVP, na utusan ang COA na hindi kami sundin ang Congress or House of Representatives?
Your Honor, Mr. Chair, hindi po siga-siga ang OVP. It is really just a respectful request, Your Honor, for them to consider our position.
Panel Chairperson Joel Chu approves the motion after it was duly seconded. Lopez will be detained at the House premises for a period of 5 days or until the next scheduled hearing of the committee on November 25. Lopez appeals that her contempt order be reconsidered, apologizing to Castro and noting that the letter to COA was just a request. Castro then says that there are other issues to be considered, such as Lopez being evasive in her answers to lawmakers' questions. Prior to Castro's motion, lawmakers were already frustrated with Lopez as she insisted that there were matters in the OVP that she was not privy to, despite her being Vice President Sara Duterte's Chief of Staff. The House Committee on Good Government and Public Accountability is investigating allegations of fund misuse in the OVP and the Department of Education under Duterte's watch, including the supposed irregularities in confidential fund expenditures. And these are the stories you need to know today. I'm Neil Mercado. Follow INQUIRER.net on Facebook, X, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and Reddit. For more stories, visit INQUIRER.net. Good afternoon.